Welcome back to seat time. That piston right there in this rear brake is nice and broken. The ceramic is busted pretty good, and that helps with heat dissipation since there's only the one piston on the rear brake. You know what I did? I went ahead and ordered another one. So today we are going to rebuild that rear brake. We are going to put in a new piston, and we're going to put in some new seals. I think it's going to be a good time for all of us. Yes, I'm learning how to do this along with you, so definitely leave comments on things that I could have done better. In the long run, a little bit of praise goes a long way. Let's get to it. I got my brake guard on there so I can get a little bit more leverage. I'm gonna try to break this guy loose. Oh, okay. So we're gonna get fluid everywhere. Yay, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I should have done this at a different time on a different bike in a different way, but here we are, taking this thing off after the Black Buffalo. This thing was just so nasty. All the brake pads were gone. I hadn't ever rebuilt these guys. I mean, you can even see some of the dirt still shoved in there from that event. So, put a little bit of a wrench, a little bit of that guy in there. Try to see if we can stop some of the craziness of this thing blowing out too fast. Maybe it'll blow out too fast anyway. Guess we'll find out. Got my finger. See, it's not too super dirty in there, but those got the two O-rings. We've got replacement ones right here that we're going to replace there, and then obviously the new piston as well. So let's get to it. Now we will pick out the seals. First guy right there, nothing too crazy. One of these it shouldn't be, but we shall see. Boom. And a little bit bigger one down there. I'm going to try not to scratch the surfaces while you're in there. And let's just go ahead and clean all of this stuff. And we will lube that up before we put it back in. Soapy water. The Brembo seals came with this bad boy. That's what I'm going to use to put it back together. I know some people have used brake fluid to put it back together. To be honest, I don't know which is better. So if you know why, please let us know. I'm going to go with the big one first. Dip it in, get it nice and lubed up. Then, obviously want to try to be careful to get it in there. There is a spot for the big O-ring and then the smaller one. So the big one goes in first, sits into that spot back there. You want to make sure that it's not caught. It feels good. Got our other one nice and lubed up. It is so lubed. Okay, well, alright. There you go, those two are in. Now, we get our piston. Same thing. Boop, 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 boop. Get some Brembo lube. And lube it up. And with this, we really just want to make sure that while we're putting it in, we don't muck up any of those seals. So I would assume that we're trying to push this thing in as flat as we can into that brake caliper. Okay. I did have somebody tell me as long as it doesn't feel like anything was stuck, you're probably in a pretty good place. Nothing really felt like it was stuck, so I feel like we're in a pretty good place. That went in there fairly easy. Hopefully that's a good thing. No idea what's the easiest way to shove it in. Hey-o! I feel like this side's a little bit more malleable though. And the mushroom head, if you will, of the other side. Yeah, looks like it's kind of doing its thing. There we go. Boom. And we're in. Got it. Okay, so we're gonna get this attached, then we're gonna lube that up, and we're gonna get the springs on. Well, I did exactly what I didn't want to do, which was, I was like, yeah, put it on the right way, and then I didn't. So that was cool.
Yeah, we're gonna show you.
Okay, now placing the spring. Looks even. There is an arrow, and that's the front. So I'm going to say that the arrow goes towards the front. That's probably good to go. It's been on this bulletproof shark fin for, well, since I got the bike in 2018, but we got the new part. We put the new part on it. You know what I'm saying? Alright, we're all lubed up. We are like all lubed up. Okay. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, let's get this on the bike. Yeah. Neutron centered brake pads. If you've used them, let me know what you think about them. I've never used them before, so we're gonna give them a try. Got some sandpaper. Roughing them up a little bit might be a good idea to help break them in. But I don't, and I didn't. So let's get ready to bleed this bad boy. Normally, just to piss clay stucky off, I always use an adjustable wrench to take off this 21. But today, just for you guys, because it's YouTube, I'm going to use the proper tool. I know. You're welcome. What I'm going to do is typically when I bleed this, I've got the little 8mm Motion Pro guy that I use, but obviously it's a one-way valve, so you can't push through it. So we're going to take this off. And I am going to, actually I'm going to try to suck air through. So try to suck some of this through to see if I can get it through instead of pushing. I don't know, push, pull, you tell me which one you think is better. Wait a second. Definitely pulling fluid through, but just pulling a lot of air too. I think we're gonna have to push. This is what I wish I should have left my gloves on. So one of the things that sucks is like when you do this, you get these air bubbles in here. So you're kind of like, unless there's a better way to get an air bubble out of here, kind of pushing air into the system, just kind of hoping that it comes out. All the way up to the top. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Alright, so now, try to hold on to that precious brake fluid. Shit's getting expensive. Getting a little bit, but not much. There's obviously still a lot of air in the system, so we will start trying to bleed it out. Unfortunately, welcome to the next day. I cannot get this thing to bleed, and so I've posted on Instagram, I've asked multiple friends, all that kinds of stuff, and it seems like potentially when I back bled, that maybe something happened here within the master cylinder. I don't have a rebuild kit for the master cylinder, so I'm gonna take it apart, and because I've tried everything everybody said, I've tried everything I could think of, all those things. And again, this was just a piston and 2 seals, so I don't think anything's going on here in the actual caliper. I believe that back bleeding, maybe with some pressure there, did something. So I'm gonna take this guy apart, clean everything really well, put it back together, and see where we get. I lied. I now have a rebuild kit, and we are gonna rebuild the master cylinder. So obviously we did the caliper, and it is about 2 weeks after the fact. John Gentry lent me a brake setup so that I could race the TCCRA race. That was horrible, but go check that out on Instagram if you want to know anything about how that went for me. That was when my seat fell off and broke and all the things. That's welded, that's back on the bike. But right now, we're gonna rebuild the master cylinder on the rear brake. We're gonna see if we can get this thing bled up. I don't have bench vise yet, so I thought you guys would appreciate my redneck engineering so that I could hold this guy and work on it. I always have trouble getting these tight enough, so I use these guys to tighten it a little bit more, and typically I can then get that circle back plunger, and you can see it's still got tons of dirt on it even though I cleaned it. So there's definitely not tons, but you can see the rust that was there from Black Buffalo National Enduro, you SOB. But you can see that this seal looks pretty busted. So it must have got some dirt in there, and then oil was blowing past that. That's why it wouldn't bleed up. So we got a new one. Brake cleaner, blowed it out, and it's looking a lot cleaner in there. So now we're gonna get the new piston, put some of the assembly lube on it, put this guy back in my bench vise, and see about getting that piston in there. Well, now we got a completely rebuilt caliper, we got a completely rebuilt master cylinder, and I think we're ready to rock. It bled up just fine. I did go ahead and purchase one of these vacuum bleeder bad boys, or Blake bleeder and vacuum pump kit from Northern Tool or Harbor Freight or one of those, and it's the Pittsburgh brand, and it seemed to work fine. And in the long run, like, got all the air out that I needed it to get out there from the system. Typically, I wouldn't think that this is a very difficult situation, but because of what the bike had been through from the Black Buffalo National Enduro, there was actually crack in the line, and so the seals here in the master cylinder needed to be replaced. And because of that, when I did the caliper rebuild, I needed to rebuild this too. I wish I'd have known that at the time and ordered the parts, but this is part of why I document everything I'm learning, so hopefully you guys will learn a little bit as well. If you've got questions, please ask them. If you see things that I did that maybe seem wrong or inefficient, obviously use the comments. Like, help other people get better by getting in the comments and making everybody a little bit smarter or a little bit more entertained if you've got fun comments and things to say. Obviously the seat is, the spot where the seat was broken off is now back. I'm getting ready to put the bike back together. There's another TCCRA coming up that I think I'd like to attend just to try to work on speed a little bit more and aggression. I think it's gonna be fun. If nothing else, if we don't get a chance to see you on the trail, obviously we'll see you here on the internet. Enjoy getting seat time, subscribe, give it a like up, thumbs up, all the things. See you for the next one. Peace. That is